Coach Chip Hafley talked about reading comments from the FAU coaching staff. It just made me wonder, and maybe offense is different than defense, but how much of your scouting of an opponent is something other than watching game tape?
Well, in this day and age, because of coverage and social media, you can get a lot. And there's a lot of times where we all do it. You'll just Google, freeze that. Hey, there's a guy over there in the shirt that's injured. Who's that guy? Or looks like they were in a 4-down front or a 3-down front or blitzing. So there's a lot of information out there. And, in the first game, we have a new defense coordinator. So we're watching tape. Coach Spencer, that we know, was at Oklahoma State with Coach Yursich. He was at Oklahoma State when I was at Oklahoma, competed against him. So, we're looking at Charlotte tape and where he was last year. So, there's a lot of information. But in this day and age of social media, you gather a lot, and we all kind of creep and follow everybody, I guess.
Pass catching tight ends seem to get so much of the attention that it's easy to kind of come away with the conclusion that that's the direction the position is going.
Say it again, please.
Pass catching tight ends get so much attention, it's easy to think that that's the direction that the position is going. But is there still a real premium on tight ends who are really good blockers?
Well, to be a complete player, you have to block. If you look, you can just Google up, but I'm not sure the numbers, but the guy that won the Mackey Award last year probably had 60 catches, if that. And you're playing, like last year, Luke Farrell played 600 plays. So if he has 60 catches, which would be a lot for what we've done around here, what do you do on those other plays? So most of the time you're playing without the ball. It's very much a developmental position because in spread football, everybody's playing with big receivers. If we spread and play with in my opinion, if you play a spread offense without a tight end, you're either going to run the quarterback a lot or you're going to throw it a lot. When you can put the quarterback, you add one more gap, you take a lot of stress off the offensive line, a lot of stress off the quarterback. You're a more complete team. So teaching an athletic kid to be a complete blocker or a complete player, to be a good blocker, makes you a better football team, makes him a complete player.
Hey, Kevin, you've talked a lot of times about how versatile the offense can be and shape it to the quarterback's strength. Throughout your career, who would you compare Justin Fields to for some of the other guys you've worked with?
It's a good question because he's, we don't do a lot of, quote, running around, but when he takes off running, he's maybe as fast as I've seen at quarterback. He has the arm strength to make a lot of throws. I know Coach Dan, Coach Yursich are working hard just to get comfortable with what he sees, what he likes, how to get him off to a good start, get him in rhythm, get him going and build. And I've been around some talented players, but his skill set is probably as high as I've been around.
It seems like there's no easy comparison. He seems to have a pretty unique skill set.
Very much. At the same time, though, the real ones have the skill set on Saturday. And for example, years ago, Sam Bradford's second start, we're playing it really big. We're playing Miami, Florida, and I had practiced a play 6-7 times. We were going to play fake and throw a post to Malcolm Kelly, this really outstanding receiver we had. And when we play faked, they didn't cover it, and Sam threw it to a fullback in the flat. I didn't practice that. But on Saturday, Sam, being a great player, made it look right, made it look easy. So the talented guys that can make the plays, that's nice, but the real ones have an active game day of playing well, and it'd be interested as we get started with Justin and our other quarterback, and a lot of these young players, how they play on Saturday when they're out there and the lights are on, is for real.
Second row left, all right. When you look at some of the challenges that Brandon Bowens had to overcome, both with injury and kind of having a setback with that injury and coming back and facing a 5-star kid that a lot of people thought could or would start this year, not to mention being a father and a lot of the stuff that he's done off the field, seeing him win this job and being in this position. Can you just comment on everything that he's had to overcome and maybe what you view this journey for him as being?
Well, happy and proud of him, happy for him and his family. Still in competition, though, because Nick's awfully good and right there battling. And I expect them to play, but just in this day and age where guys can, say, woe is me, or it's not going my way, to battle through and to persevere and to make it through tough times. And he plays a tough position, those, non-glamorous positions where you're blocking all the time and no one sees you except your mom or now, your wife and all that stuff. So proud of the way he's battled. He's practiced really, really To me, he's healthy. He's practicing as tough as he's ever practiced. He's practicing as low with great pad level in the run game. He's had a tremendous preseason, and he needed to. Our football team needed him to. At the same time, so is Nick Petit Ferrer. Nick's played well, too. So we got some good depth there, and congratulate Brandon on a great spring preseason. He has played. He has started. I think in 2016 he was playing some tight end in a big package that was done here years ago. So he's played, he's in a fifth year and played some football. So he's not a rookie, and I expect him to play well. It'll be interesting to see. I think Nick will get in the mix and play a lot too this year, though.
One other non-related question. How do you guys balance the need to keep Justin in games as long as possible to gain experience, considering his age and inexperience, and also protecting him and keeping him healthy?
Well, I mean that's you got to pick your spots. Of course, any play you can have critical error, and that quarterback can be exposed because the ball's in his hand every play. So it's going to do a great job. Not the line, the backs, the tight ends, and protection, and being in the right place, receivers, and timing, and route running. Every play that wide receiver is beating the defensive end rushing. He's not beating that cornerback. Everything's in relation to time. So we got to be smart with it. At the same time, things can break down, and Justin's got to do a great job protecting himself. So we'll do everything we can to minimize him being in harm's way, but we got to go out and score as many points and start at one drive at a time and make sure we can find victory in game one and build from that. So our plan as always has been, as you run the quarterback, he's still your quarterback, and you must protect him, and we'll do everything we can to do that.
Third row left, Dan. Kevin, you talked about Nick playing, Brandon playing at right tackle. Ryan said you guys could play as many as 7 or 8 offensive linemen. How do you balance that, rotating those guys up front with making sure that you still have a cohesive unit on the offensive line?
That'll be, I think, a feel on the sideline that Coach Dudrava will have, as you go through the game and looking at the guy's eyes and the feel. Does the guy need a blow? Does the guy need to sit down and calm down? Does the guy need some motivation? Is the other guy practiced and played well enough that he's going to help us? So there's different, to me, ways in each game that could happen. I don't think it's a revolving door. I do feel comfortable. I think I think Josh Albies had a tremendous preseason. I think we're 4 deep at tackle, and we're going to need those guys. We've talked a lot about Josh Meyer. Harry Miller's had an outstanding preseason as a young freshman playing a position with a lot of stress. I think we're very solid offensive guard with Wyatt, with Jonah, Gavin Cupp in there. I mean, there's some depth, there's some experience. So I think Coach Stud just play it by ear. If a guy needs a blow, I don't think we put the whole second team unit out there. I think you do let guys get used to playing together, working in combination, bumping off twist, working double teams. But I think to say we're just going to play 5 every game, I don't think that's the case. I think Greg will just get a feel and move as we go. We got to be careful because we don't want to lose our rhythm as an offense. We got to take care of that quarterback. We got to play all those different running backs, tight ends, receivers, but you don't want to lose your flow and rhythm as an offense.
What are the things that stand out to you when you're studying FAU's defense? What are some of the challenges they're going to present to you guys that you got to be prepared for?
One of the challenges is you watch what they did last year and you watch their personnel, but then you have a new defensive coordinator and you're watching another team, and sometimes those visions start blurring together. And a year ago, is he doing certain things because that fit personnel, things that they could do in their fronts, their blitzes, and coverages. Now he's at a different place, different athletes. They were very successful when Coach Spencer was at Charlotte last year. I think they finished the year 20th or 22nd in total defense. So they were playing pretty solid defense. So you think there's some carryover, but there'll be some jockeying in that first quarter figuring out, are those little X's and O's exactly where we thought they'd be? And quite honestly, in my 2 years here, we do a bunch of game planning. We do a bunch of work, and we go out there Saturday, and half the time they're lined up completely different than what we saw on tape. And your ability, you have a game plan until you get punched in the mouth. You have a game plan until a coordinator puts something out there different, and your ability to adjust as a coach, but also as players and as a young quarterback will help your offense flow.
You've been a head coach as well as an assistant. Ryan stepping into a job, first time ever. What has struck you as he's made this transition about how he's changed or how he's adapted to this new role?
Yeah, I think you said it right there is how he's changed, because he's in a different role, but in some ways I think he's tried to continue to be himself. I thought he did that last year. I thought he did a great job of leading our football team in an interim role and trying to take the message, but in his words, his way, to not create something new, to try to reinvent things, but and I think that's a quality of a strong leader. And I've been unbelievably impressed with his attitude, his energy. I've also been impressed with him just trying to be himself. I think he's got a lot of great strengths and is going to do an outstanding job this year and in the future.
You've coached under some great coaches without comparing them specifically to any of them. Is there something that does strike you in terms of he handles this in a certain way that reminds me of so-and-so?
It's different because, Coach Stoops was a defensive guy and Ryan's an offensive guy. So sometimes, but Coach Stoops had a confidence of, here's what we're doing, but you didn't feel like he was micromanaging a lot. At the same time, it could be very direct in time. Hey, here's what we're doing. Move on. We're doing this and this and this. I think Ryan has some of those strengths where he connects with people, but I think also he's very much as a way of getting his view without you feel like he's like pushing it down you. So again, I've just got a lot of respect for him as a coach, a lot of respect for him as a person. Watch him as a dad and a husband. I think he's just a tremendous person. I think he's going to have a tremendous career, and we'll see how it goes when we tee it up and we start getting these games rolling here.
We've got time for just a couple more for Coach because I want to start to get players in here, folks. Time for two more. Over to the left, Doug.
Kevin, you had so much success as an offensive coordinator and play caller. Then when you became a head coach, what was that transition like for you in terms of this is what I do well, this is what I've always done well, but now I'm in charge of a team? And then, just what advice would you have for a guy like Ryan who's going through that now?
Well, a little bit different because at that time we had 9 assistant coaches. Now we have 10. So we have 5 on offense, 5 on defense, plus the head coach. What I decided to do when I watched Coach Stoops, I mentioned earlier, who was a defensive coach, he was always with the defense. It was 5 and 5. So I decided to put 5 coaches on defense. I was basically one of the 5 offensive coaches when I was the head coach. So that put I was a little bit more involved in the position. I think Coach Day has the ability to be a part of the offense, help a little bit with quarterbacks, have a great picture, have a great view of the big picture. But I think he has the freedom that he can step out of the room a little bit more with Coach Schertz's background, with knowing exactly what he's getting with Coach Dudrawa, because he's worked with now a couple of years with Coach Alford, with Coach Hartline, myself. So he can come in and inject. Matter of fact, we can sit in meetings and start talking about things, and there'll be someone saying, listen, knowing Coach Day, we're not going that direction. Maybe let's get back to this formation or this thought process. So, and again, I haven't given a lot of advice. I've tried to be a great teammate. So I trust him as a leader, and I've tried to do everything I can. As an assistant coach, someone said to me years ago, your job is to assist the coach. And I've tried to do as much as I can to be a great assistant and help him and help our team win. And again, I think he's doing a tremendous job for our football program.
Fourth row middle, Murph.
Kevin, going back to your game planning for week 1, Coach Hafley said it's a lot about us and doing what we want to do, no offense to the opponent. On the offensive side of the ball, how much is that the case? I know you said you've scouted a lot, but how much is it about doing what you guys want to do and running your plays and kind of figuring things out as you go?
There isn't always, it's about you factor. As far as you coming ready to take care of the football, take care of the quarterback, be physical, have your balance, run and pass. At the same time, defenses are so multiple in what they're doing that you got to have the ability to adjust. So we have to recognize where they're at, where they're coming from, so that we get certain looks we're not ready for, that we can't protect our quarterback. We can't get the running game on schedule. So we have certain goals that I think are very much us generated and how we need to play. But in this day and age, you have to adapt to the defensive structure that we're going to see, and there'll be a lot of jockeying and chess match, not only in this game, but these first couple games until you get 3 or 4 games and get a rhythm of the coordinator, and each year it's a new year. So these first few weeks are a little stressful on game day for us offensive guys.
And final question, third row right, Rob.
Along the same lines, Jeff was in here talking about that chess match, the cat and mouse game. As a play caller, do you guess much, and what does that feel like when you guess right? I mean, is there that kind of game going on?
Guess.
Based on knowledge and facts.
I wouldn't stay here so late at night if we were guessing all the time. Right? We just roll, I don't know. I mean, I think sometimes you say guessing because you've got to play a thing's going to work at certain looks. I think the beauty of Coach Meyer, what he brought to me, is that you got to have a lot of answers. So when you call a play, it's sound against a lot of things. And that makes you, when you're going through right now, we're talking about their defense. What if they come down to 4 down front? What are we doing? What if all of a sudden it's boundary blitzes? What are they doing? What if all of a sudden they're playing max coverage and dropping everyone? So it forces you to analyze and take a lot of looks. So I guess there's a lot of guesswork, but as you get into the rhythm of the game, you get into things that you think you do well. It's about you and what you're doing, but you just get in the rhythm of the game. And you better have your players ready to adjust and adapt. We're talking today, what if the defensive lineman line in certain fronts, are we able to do that? And early in these games, we can actually do too much and have and then our kids aren't playing hard. So there's a balance early here, getting our kids ready to play hard, to play physical, to take care of the ball about us, but then be ready to adapt to this defense because they're going to be multiple at what they're doing, and it's going to be a challenge. These guys will present a lot of problems, and we're looking forward to Saturday. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Justin Fields, is he going to have the green light to audible, or is that
Yeah,
something?
there's certain things. Sometimes we're doing things where we look back over and it comes from the sideline. That's kind of common in college football now with the no-huddle stuff. And then there's the ability where he's going to see certain things because what happens 10 years ago, you would say, who? Look over and tell the quarterback. Well, now when we started talking to the quarterback, they started talking to the defense. So everything changed. So there is the deal that when your quarterback checks a play, the defense can't change. So he will have the opportunity early to get us in a few things. It's not, quote, green light all over the place. But there's several plays where it's in his hands to make us right and to make us look good.
Coach,
Thanks,
thank
guys.
you very much.